And to introduce this, let me ask you a question, Rebecca. How many great-great-grandfathers do you have? Hi everyone, this is Mark Peterson from the Frog Outside the Well Research Center. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And today, again, we have Rebecca with us.
Yes. Hello everyone.
Well, today we're talking about Jokbo again because Rebecca is a specialist in Jokbo. And she learned in high school.
Yes, I did.
How to read Jokbo. You know, and most people, they say, oh, Jokbo is so difficult, I can't read it. It's all Hanja and all that stuff. But she figured out how to read it by cracking the 5 main characters that guide you through the Jokbo. The first time we talked about how to read a Jokbo, and we showed you how Rebecca did it. Then last time we talked about how Jokbo have changed over time. An early Jokbo was a reflection of a more balanced, equal society. Mm-hmm. Today we're going to look at another kind of Jokbo. Not the kind that's, you know, just one generation after another, mm-hmm. but it's a special kind of Jokbo. And to introduce this, let me ask you a question, Rebecca. How many great-great-grandfathers do you have?
Oh, you asked me this question before.
When I ask this question to Korean audiences, they very often, one. I have one.
Is it 16?
No.
32?
No. The answer is 8.
Oh, 8.
The actual answer is 8. Yeah, it's a lot though. It's more than what Koreans think of. Most Koreans will say 1. I have 1 Kojo Harabuji. But you don't have 1 Kojo Harabuji because you have a father and a mother, right? Mm-hmm. And you have one grandfather and another grandfather. Mm-hmm. Right? Your father's father and your mother's father. So you have 2 grandfathers. Now, most Koreans, they discriminate between the 2. They say the Chin Harabaji and the We Harabaji, right? The Chin Harabaji is the real Harabaji, okay. And the We Harabaji is the outside Harabaji. Okay. Now, I hate that. The reason I hate it is I only have 2 daughters. Oh. So I cannot be Chin Harabaji.
Oh, is it? Okay, I see.
I only can be We Harabaji.
Yeah.
But you know, in Korea in the early days, I don't think they made that distinction.
Yeah.
Because as you see on this chart, what we're going to look at today is this chart that's called the Pal Gojo Do, the 8 great-great-grandfather chart. Okay. And so here we have 2 grandfathers, right? The Chin Harabaji and the We Harabaji. But we're not going to say that anymore. We're going to say Harabaji on the father's side, Harabaji on the mother's side. And then you have, each of these have a father, so you have 4 great-grandfathers and 8 great-great-grandfathers. Now, some Korean people say, oh, that's really odd. This family is unusual that they count all that. No, no, no. There are lots of these. I have lots of examples. Here on this page, there are 2. Then there's this page here. Here's another example. This is a handwritten copy. Some are handwritten, some are printed. I have a book of 8 great-great-grandfather charts, a whole book of them. Wow. There are lots and lots of these. Here's another example. And here's one, it's not a very good copy, but there's that one. And here's another example of 8 great-great-grandfathers. So what it is, if you look at the Western genealogy chart, this is a typical Western genealogy chart. Okay. Like you'd use when you're doing your genealogy. Yeah. You'd fill in a chart like this, didn't you? But your line just went up this top line like this, right? Yeah. You didn't have much down here at all.
Yeah, nothing really.
Nothing at all, because you just had the man up here and his wife going up like this for umpteen generations, right?
Yeah, because this is my mom's line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have much on your mom's line at all, do you? That's typical Korean. Yeah. Just the one. That's called the Bu계사회. Puge is the father's line. Oh. And in English, you'd call it the patrilineal society. But a lot of Americans call it the patriarchal society. They call it the patriarchy. But it's really patrilineal, meaning the father's line. But look, when we do our genealogy in the West, we do a person here and their spouse. So here's Rebecca and here's Mr. Fiance right here, who you put in here. And then here is your father and your mother. You could do the other around. You could your mother and your father. Then here's grandfather, grandmother, grandfather, grandmother, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, great-grandfather, 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 4 great-grandfathers. Yeah. And here's your 8 great-great-grandfathers. So this chart in the West is exactly the same as this kind of chart from Korea with the 8 great-great-grandfathers. So what this is, it's again like the Andong Kwenshi Jokbo that we looked at, the 1476 Jokbo. Children all in the birth order.
Yeah.
And all the daughters' lines were continued as much as the sons' lines.
Yeah.
That was a snapshot of an early Korean society. This is another snapshot where the wife's family and the husband's family, the father's family and the mother's family are equal. So you don't see this today because today we live in the society of the patrilineal or the father's line, the Bu계sa회. But in early Korea, up until about 1700, this was the kind of document you'd see for a Jokbo. Not only this kind, you see this kind too, but you'd see this kind of document.
Yeah. This is much more organized than I think the first one that or the first Jokbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well organized and it's fair.
Yeah. Around what year did they make these?
They made these from early on. I think we started seeing these in maybe the 12th, 13th century, and then in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, and 17th century, and then in the 17th century is when Bugesawe takes over.
Oh, okay, started becoming more like this.
Yeah, in the late 17th, really going into the 18th century. One other thing about this is it's genetically more correct.
Oh, interesting.
Because you get your chromosomes, you know, your genetic inheritance, from your father and your mother equally. Now, in the old Korea, they used to think it all came from the father's side. But in reality, we know that you have 24 chromosomes from your father and 24 from your mother. So this is a better picture of where your genetic inheritance comes from on both sides.
That's cool.
I love this.
Yeah.
Maybe Korea will go back to this in the modern era today.
Yeah.
And it's most similar to the Western style.
Yeah, it is. And maybe that's why I like it, because it's more Americanized.
Well, Korea in the early days was more Americanized, or America is more like early Koreanized.
Yeah, that's probably it.
It's balanced. It's more fair. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, that's our point today. So we thank you. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.